All right, so what does safe patient limits mean to you? Why do we need safe patient limits?
What do safe patient limit? What do safe patient limits mean to me? So
you can start over.
What do safe patient limits mean to me? A safe patient limit to me would mean that I would be able to meet all my patients' needs. And as a nurse at the bedside, you want to do the best you can for that patient you're caring for. There's no way you can do that in a 12-hour shift or an 8-hour shift if they continually increase your patient limit. Currently I work in a recovery room and I have 2 patients that are considered critical care. They're airway issues. They're waking up after anesthesia, some of them are breathing well, some of them aren't. Some of them clear anesthesia quickly. Some redistribute the anesthesia and then stop breathing or slow their breathing. If I had more than 2 patients, it would be perfect for me to watch their airways. I can't be there if I have more than what I have now.
That's good. Is the sound okay? Even though
Yeah.
a lot of background?
Yeah, it'll pick up. You get just a gentle
You want me
muffle.
to go get you some people?
Oh, is that you done? Are you going to ask him
No,
something
that's
else?
good. We don't
Okay.
want to do too long. What does safe patient limits mean to you? Why do nurses need safe limits?
Safe patient limits for me means being able to not have to prioritize between equally urgent issues. And the more you spread nurses out thinly, the more patients start competing with each other for care. And you get to a point where you can be legitimately distracted in a room and something be going on next door and you're completely unaware and your colleagues are unaware because everyone's in the rooms. So unsafe staffing means increased situations where everyone's in a room and no one's monitoring patients. And the more you do that, or the more you subject nurses to that, the more you're going to subject patients to those risk factors of being in those situations where they're not monitoring their patients. And you're just going to have increased incidences of these issues where something happens next door and you don't respond as you should or as quickly as you should because you're preoccupied.
So if you have a safe limit on the number of patients you can care for, you'll be able to provide better care?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How would you say it? I'm just trying to get so we try to get the negative side of it too, which is without safe patient limits, patients don't have enough care and nurses are stressed thin. But then on the positive side, with safe patient limits,
without safe limits, it could be a range of issues from patients falling because they're not attended to in a timely manner in their eyes. I've seen situations where I don't attend to call as quickly as I want to, and I'm catching the patient in the act of trying to go to the bathroom on their own when they've already told them that we don't want them to do that, but it's kind of like a quid pro quo where so long as you get to us at a certain time, we'll comply, but if you don't, we'll do as we plan to do. And so they're at risk of falls. And then it's other situations where you may not respond to a critical alarm. And, that's dangerous, even more so than fall. Fall you might be able to recover from, but a critical arrhythmia, time matters, seconds matter, in those situations. And when we do have staffing, because, at the break room where I work, I've had it where it's a combination of both, where some nights you have good staffing and some nights you don't. And when we have good staffing, we're completely attentive to the patients, our response times are quick, we document accurately and on time, and as they spread you thinly, those things start to get stretched out, where you find yourself coming out of rooms and lights are going off and it's like a ghost town at the nursing home. I work nights in particular, so overall staff is diminished at nights. You don't have as many doctors walking around, you don't have a unit coordinator at the desk, so they kind of eliminated as much staff as they could get away with. So on nights, it's really just nurses and the PCA on the pod. So if nurses and PCA are in rooms, literally no one's on the pod, oftentimes. And, when we have staffing, there's usually someone who's out on the pod just because of the different frequencies in which nurses do their care for their patients. But when we're thin, oftentimes in high volume times, in the evenings when their patients are trying to wrap it up, get their meds, go to bed, do other issues, or patients traveling, in the morning when things start to really pick up again. I find in those hours call lights are going off and no one's around. And you don't really know how long the lights been going off. And sometimes, like you said, you can catch them in the act of trying to solve the issue on their own by going to the bathroom, getting up. Sometimes it's an alarm, or sometimes it's the patient's O2 sat in the 80s, and you just don't know because you're in the room. So, you know, it's just a matter of time before there's a serious event that occurs because of, let's say, zapping. The more they push the limit, the more they're putting patients at risk. And it's going to keep going in that direction, I feel, unless we have to stand against that.
That was awesome. That's good. I got a lot of good clips. As a nurse, what do safe patient limits mean to you, and why are they so important to have for every patient, every unit across the state?
Safe patient limits is very important because there's problems as it is, and where I worked before, we are responsible for taking care of 26 patients, one nurse. It all depends on the acuity of the floor or the unit. If the unit happens to be high, the acuity is high, they'll give you a med nurse to work with you. But you don't know what can happen in a psych unit. There are patients that would act up or be agitated any time of the night, because I work the night shift. So being just the only one, or even if you have a med nurse, and you're working with 4 mental health workers, which is the equivalent of CNAs, it can be difficult. So you just have to be vigilant and resourceful.
So if you have a safe limit on the number of patients you can have as a nurse, what does that mean for your patients? What does that do for their care?
That means I can be more engaged in their care, and I can do more interventions. I can spend more time talking to them and giving them the attention that they need. Because sometimes that's what being in a psych unit, that's what they need, is the time to be able to spend with them, sit with them, and talk to them.
So will you help fight for safe patient limits?
I would.
Support them?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I signed up for a phone bank because of my right knee arthritis. I cannot be standing for a long time and hold signs, but phone bank, I can at least sit and talk to people and talk to legislators.
What would you tell somebody if you got them on the phone? What would you say? The quick sell to get them to support safe patient limits?
I would say I would let you know I am a nurse, and if ever you have any relatives or friends that are hospitalized, would you like to have a nurse that's engaged in the care, or would you like a nurse that's stressed and may make errors in giving the care to your patients or relatives? So I'm here to call you to ask for your support, because we can make this happen if we are all involved.
That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So why do you support safe patient limits? Why should anybody support safe patient limits?
Well, I think about that a lot because I work in an ER, and it's basically people that we work for are, we're doing more for our patients with less resources, and we're seeing sicker patients than we used to 30 years ago. So why wouldn't you want more hands-on people there? Why wouldn't you want to say, okay, I can only take care of X number of patients, when people that come into the emergency room especially are at risk for falling? There are more elderly people that need more at the bedside. It's one thing to say that you can have a committee that says, oh yeah, I have to perform a certain task like they used to do to come up with nursing ratios. This task or this diagnosis takes up that much of a nurse's time. You're dealing with people, you can't do that. You have to say, okay, there's a limit to how far I can stretch myself for my safety and for my patient's safety. You know, there has to be a point where I can literally take care of you. If you ring a button, I can be there in a minute, not 10 minutes after you've fallen. So that to me is the most important thing. their safety and the fact that they can feel comfortable knowing that I'm going to be there. And I feel safer knowing that I can watch them and be with them more. That's the whole point, is being at the bedside more. You spend more time with the patient, learn more about them, not only as a patient, but as a person, and be able to take care of their needs. That's the whole thing I mentioned.
That was awesome. That was great.
Let me just grab your tag here.
Yeah, you just nailed it. Yeah.
That's the whole thing. It is the whole thing. I mean, what else can we say?
And you put it very succinctly, so that was good.
And what's the hospital that you work at?
St. Vincent. Oh yeah,
St.
I'm
Vincent.
just saying
Okay.
and spelling.
Believe me, I'm not.
I got the name on the tag, so we're good. Okay. First of all, can you spell your name? Say and spell your name.
Sure, my name is Lori Borden, Bourdon.
And where do you work?
I work at UMass Memorial at University Campus.
Great. I'm just going to fix this. Thanks. Okay, now looking right at me. So, safe staffing limits, why are they important? Are they important to you? And if so, why? Why do you think they're important?
Well, they're absolutely important to me as a registered nurse. Taking care of patients is my priority, and making sure that I provide safe care is absolutely at the top of my list in my nursing practice. If we have too many patients, we can't give them the kind of care that we need. And many of our patients now are much sicker than they ever were, both on the floors and in the ICUs, which is where I happen to work.
Great. One more question. If all of a sudden tomorrow we had all the limits that we need, safe staffing, safe limits, how would things be? Like what would improve? Like tomorrow all of a sudden you have safe staffing. Would you notice a difference right away? Or?
I think that one thing is a positive work environment really translates to good patient care. And I think that if you had the nurses were able to take care of the patients that they had, i.e. that they had the amount of patients that, were reasonable limits, then I think that you would see changes in attitude, changes in positivity, which would translate to, I think, better care all around. I mean, there's a point of no return. If we have too many patients, we can't give all the care that they need. And therefore, that translates not to as effective care.
That's awesome. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, first of all, Julianne, Lyver, and where do you work?
I work at Marlborough Hospital.
Marlborough Hospital, okay. Now, you're aware of the safe patient limits,
Yes.
and do you have an opinion on why? I'm sorry, I want to make it look good. You have an opinion on why those are important?
Yes, it's important to the patients. The nurses can care for their patients with a lower ratio. Patients are safer. They have better hospital outcomes if the nurse has less patients to care for. It also seems crazy that in some hospitals around the state there are staffing limits and some aren't. What makes a patient less important to be at one hospital and a nurse has 6 patients and at another hospital has 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So it's very important.
Are you noticing anything, like do you notice on a day-to-day basis where this is an issue, or is it something?
I don't work directly on an inpatient floor, but
Okay.
yes, it is. You can see the nurses stay late, and the nurses say, I wish they had more time to spend on this, but they do everything that needs to be done for the patient, and they find it very stressful when they feel they can't do the little things that the patients need because they don't have time.
Great. Thank you so much.
What facility do you work at?
I work at St. Vincent's in the emergency department.
Okay, I was just talking to Edmund. You know him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. My coworker.
All right,
great.
we're on with
It's a high bar.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, all the St. Vincent's people are
Yeah.
top notch. Look at Joe.
All right, so a simple question. Why do you support safe patient limits, and why should anybody support safe patient limits for nurses?
It's all about patient safety. There's no guidelines in the emergency department, and there should be guidelines everywhere. Unfortunately, our doors are always open, and it's about safety. So, especially with the opioid epidemic and the psychiatric population, they come to the emergency room, homeless, alcohol, so we are overloaded with patients, all needing care, all needing to be safe. We need to have guidelines so every patient gets a nurse. And it's nationally, there are guidelines. Unfortunately, we don't really know the answer for the emergency department because our doors are always open. But truly with the opioid epidemic, the homelessness, the psychiatric population, in addition to regular emergency room patients, there are no guidelines and we are always overwhelmed.
And why is it so important to have limits that allow nurses to have more time with their patients? Why does that time and that extra attention matter?
You need to constantly evaluate these patients. Patients can go south in a second. Their heart rate can drop, their blood pressure can drop. There are so many, there are fall risks. You don't know these patients. These are not regular patients of yours. You have to be able to keep eyes on them and their vitals to keep them safe and give them meds they need. You may have 5 patients or 6 patients that all need medication or attention at the same time. You're one person, so you have to decide who needs it first. But maybe while you were doing this person was unsafe, especially suicidal patients.
That's good. That was good. There was some good clips in there. Thank you. So why do you support safe patient limits, and why should everybody and anybody support it?
I've been a nurse for 30 years, and I support safe patient limits because if a nurse does not have time to pick up on some patient's conditions, doesn't have time to educate patients, spend time at the bedside, it means life and death for that patient. And I want all my patients to be cared for properly. I want family members to come to the hospital and feel comfortable and know that we're getting the best care possible. And that means safe patient limits.
That's it. Perfect.
Okay. Wait.
Safe patient limits.
I think it's important just because I think it's right for the patient in order to give them the best care possible. It's safe for any of the nurses too, so that you're not rushed and missing things and forgetting to do things that are important for your patients.
That's great. That's perfect.
That's it.
That was awesome.
That was a quick one. Could you just, before we start, could you just say your name and spell it, the last name?
Sure. Mary, M-A-R-Y, then N-J-O-N-J-O.
And what hospital do you work for?
Pittsburgh Hospital.
Okay. Now look at Joe. He's going to ask you the question.
All right. So why do you as a nurse support safe patient limits? And why should everybody support safe patient limits?
So I'm a nurse practitioner, and I work with nurses very closely. I feel that when nurses get staffed appropriately, they give the best care, and that is why I'm supporting this.
And why would you tell your neighbor or your family member to support safe patient limits?
Because they will get the best care from the nurses who are first-hand at the bedside, taking care of their patients. And if they're well supported and well staffed, then they will get the best care, and that will make the outcome much better.
Perfect. That was great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It doesn't apply in the same way, but do you support safe patient limits for nurses in the hospital?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Safe patient limits, so the limits on the number of patients that a nurse could care for at a time?
No, I work in the high school, so there's over 2,100 students.
Sure.
So technically, safety-wise, this is 500 per nurse.
Right.
So we only have 2 nurses there, so very understaffed.
Yeah.
Very understaffed. So sometimes the nurses get pulled out to another school to cover because we're shorted, and there's only 1,000 students, so and we're not including staff. So
What would it?
this is very high.
So what would it mean to you as a nurse to have fewer people, students, potential patients, right? Fewer of them. What would that mean to you? What kind of care would you be able to provide if you had fewer?
Benefit a lot. More time to take care of the students. More time to spend time with them and better care and safety. It is big issues for us. And just being with them enough time. This is not in a rush. Just provide, need that time and that moment. Just we want to be more, provide more care.
That was good.
Thanks.
That's great.
Do you want to? I have Barbara Collins. What's the hospital that you work at?
I'm Dr. Salvatore Fuller, Mental Health Center in Boston. It's a state facility.
Okay.
But I'm retired.
Gotcha.
All right.
That's totally fine. Because everyone should support safe patient limits.
Right, of course.
I'm rolling.
So why do you support safe patient limits, and why should everybody?
Because once you're in the hospital, you're expected to get the best care. And if a nurse is overworked, it's impossible to have patients get the care they need. Some people require more critical care and more care than others. And to know that you can go to the hospital, you or your relatives, and know that you're going to get the proper care and equal care, I think it's important. And I think it will help you get better quicker, knowing that more people, you're there to get what you deserve.
That was great. Foley,
I am.
and you work at the Brigham?
Yes, in the recovery room.
So why are safe patient limits important to you as a nurse, and why should everybody support safe limits?
Well, we need to make sure that we have the proper amount of patients to be able to make sure that we're providing the safest care for them.
If you have too many patients, what happens if you have too many patients?
You could miss things, important things that need to be done to take care of them. Just in general, you know, just missing certain vital signs that are important, or something that, you know, on the monitor, or themselves just not being able to watch them properly, or giving them medications that need to be given at certain times, or...
And when you have the right amount of patients, you provide better care? Is that...
Yes, because you can pay much more attention to them. Having the right amount.
And would you tell people, you know, I support safe patient limits? Would you go and talk to your family and friends about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What would you say to them?
I support safe. What do you mean?
I'm just trying to pull it out of you, like, you know, about...
I support safe patient limits.
Yeah, but why?
As
And
a
then
nurse,
why? Yeah.
to make sure that my family, friends, patients, and others are taken care of properly.
That's perfect. There you go.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was just pulling that piece out of you. That was good.
You're welcome. I'm one that if I
This guy here is
cameraman at work, I seriously were at this thing last
Hi.
week.
You want to give us a quick soundbite here about safe limits?
My name's Ann Alley. I work in behavioral health, and our ratio should be 1 to 5 according to the contract, and we're working at 1 to 6.
All right, save it for the video.
Yeah, I thought it was...
You're telling me all this good stuff, and I haven't recorded. I'm just going to put
She's
these
a nurse, and you know what the actual effect it has on your patients, right? So why do you support safe patient limits as a nurse, and why should anybody should support it?
For better assessment, taking time to listen to the patients, find out what really is going on, instead of just going in and out and doing your tasks and moving on.
What would it mean to you if you had always, you know, the right amount of patients? What would that mean for your patients?
Better care and having their needs met.
And would you tell, you know, do you support safe patient limits to your friends and family and neighbors?
Absolutely.
And what would you say to them about it?
It really is important to have enough nurses taking care of you at a given time. But then death. There has been a lot of death reported because of lack of nurses.
Great. That was awesome.
Thank you, man.
All right. Simple, right? You have to do a lot to renew.
Yeah, but it's interesting too.
Yeah.
All right, I'm rolling. Allison, what hospital do you work at?
I work at St. Vincent Hospital right across the street.
You're like the fourth St. V's nurse we got today.
We got a lot of St. V's. All right, we're good. So look at Joe.
All right. So why do you as a nurse support safe patient limits? And why should everybody support it?
I support safe patient limits because it helps me provide safe care to the patients. So the patients are safer if they get they have the full attention of their nurse, and it also keeps staff safe as well. Specifically, me working in psychiatry, it's important that we have enough nurses, safe staffing to keep everyone in the psych unit safe, the patients and the staff, and the visitors too, actually.
And what happens when you have the right amount of nurses per patient? When you have the right amount of patients as a nurse, what does that mean for your patients in terms of their care?
The patients can get the care they deserve, and everything just runs smoothly, and everyone's safe, really. And they feel heard and listened to, and that they're, they're just satisfied with their care when we have enough nurses to support the patients.
Great. Last one, I promise. If you were to tell a friend or a family member that, you know, why they should support safe patient limits, what would you say to them?
My friends or family members or anyone should support safe patient limits because they might just want to think about if they were a patient in the hospital or their family member was, that they would want there to be enough nursing staff to support them and keep them happy and safe and healthy.
Great. That was great.
Thanks so much.
Good clip.
How much? Yeah.